Good morning, everybody. This is Mike Schwartz with Demonstrated Success, and I want to thank you all for joining us for our first webinar in a series of webinars to help uh, with virtual teaching in New Hampshire. Today, we're going to be talking about how to use Google Classroom as your virtual teaching tool. An agenda, I'm going to do some introductions. We'll talk about the webinar process in general, how it's going to work. And then I'm going to turn it over to our presenter to talk about walk you through a Google Classroom tour. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some next steps. I want to introduce the folks who are on the call presenting today. Karen Matzo is the Director of Professional Development with Demonstrated Success. And I can't thank Karen enough over the past couple of days. She has just worked like crazy to come series of webinars that will hopefully help all of you out there in the New Hampshire schools as you're making this transition to virtual learning. Karen's got lots of experience, as you can see there, in education, and she's dedicates her life to helping schools. So thank you, Karen. Jaclyn Karabinas is going to be our main presenter today. Jaclyn has such a wonderful experience with the tools that we're going to share with you today. And she also dedicates herself to education and supporting schools in New Hampshire. So thank you, Jaclyn, for kicking off our webinar series today. And then myself, I work with Demonstrated Success. I've been working with the Department of Education for years and came there about 20 years ago to come for 6 months or so, and I've still been working with the Department of Education on providing support to New Hampshire for quite some time. So thank you for allowing us to help give some guidance. I also want to do a couple of things. I want to thank the Department of Education. This is being sponsored by a grant from the Department of Education, Caitlin Davis, who's one of the division directors there. So many thanks to Caitlin, and please let the department know, offer their thanks as well if you have a chance to talk to them. I want to thank all of you for your dedication to students. I know these are certainly challenging times for all of us. We look forward as a company Demonstrated Success working with the department to help as we can. We know all of you are doing a great job for your students. We hope all of you give yourself some time, start small, take deep breaths as you move forward with this, have confidence that you can get this transition into the virtual world done, and you can. And as a teacher, you're doing such a great service for students. So thank you for what you're trying to do here as we all deal with a very challenging situation. Everybody in terms of the webinar is going to be muted. There is a chat and question area on the GoToMeeting control panel. So please feel free to enter in questions and we'll be monitoring them. We will answer as many as we can on the call today, but additionally, we will follow up with a Q&A document afterwards. Following the end of this webinar, you will receive an email and it'll have a link to a recording of the webinar. It will have a link to a Q&A document that we'll be putting together, and it'll also have a link to the future webinars that we'll be providing over the course of the next week and going forward. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen, who's just going to introduce Jaclyn, give you a quick overview of today's agenda, and then she'll turn it over to Jaclyn to get started. Again, thank you all very much. We appreciate your patience as this is our first webinar at this level. The interest in this was just way beyond anything we could imagine, but we're glad that we're able to do it. And again, we appreciate your patience as we work through any kinks and continue to provide some virtual webinars going forward. So with that, let me turn it over to Karen.
Good morning, everybody. We're very excited to have so many people on the webinar today, and this is about as communal as your day might get. So we're happy to provide that. Very happy to have Jaclyn with us today. She is a literacy and instructional support and tech guru. Today's agenda, so Jaclyn's going to she has 5 different targets that she's going to hit. She's going to talk a little bit about, in general, remote instruction and creating pedagogically sound remote instruction. And I think it's important to think about right now. We can't really do business as usual. And she's going to talk to you about classroom homepage tabs and integrating other G Suite apps. And then she has a lot of other sites that she knows about that can be integrated into Google Classroom. So we're very happy to have her. Thank you so much, Jaclyn. And I think with that, we'll get started.
Great, thanks, Karen. So Jaclyn, I'm gonna switch the presentation over to you. Let me just find you here. All right, bear with me.
There she is.
Jaclyn, let me know if you just got a request, hopefully, to.
Yes, I did. Sharing my screen now. Okay. Can everyone see the remote learning support through Google Classroom purple screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, let's get started. Again, thanks everyone. I'm going to just echo everything that Mike and Karen said. So glad so many of you are able to find support in this webinar today. You're already doing a great job. You will be wonderful. And I hope today is an hour where we can just sit back, take a deep breath, and just really make some decisions about how to take on this uncharted territory. And I feel honored to help you through that. I'm going to paste a link into the box, into the chat box that will have, let's see if this will go. So Karen and Mike, I just pasted the link in there to the agenda that I want people to be able to hold on to if they would like. The only options I have are for organizers and panelists. So if you could take a look and see how you might share that link in the chat box to the group, that would be awesome. I'm just going to click over to that right now. When you do get access to that link, it will break down the very lofty goals we have for this hour today. Thank you so much for those of you that shared questions ahead of time, whether through email to demonstrated success or in the classroom stream. I appreciate that. It really helps me know my audience today. And so that helped me sort of plan for the kinds of things I'll address. Karen already sort of spelled out what we'll move through today, and I've made a list. I see everybody from every corner of education. I've seen K-2 teachers, 3 to 5, middle school, high school, Title I, English language learner support, admins, OT, Spanish. I've seen you all, music, art, you're all there. I'm going to try to address as many things as I can, and I know that you'll be able to personalize and generalize these ideas to your setting because teachers are very smart and very creative, so I know you can do this. So I just want to take a look first, or let you know first that many of you did join the Google Classroom sample class that I had set up. It is okay if you did not. If you didn't, please don't stress yourself out by scrambling now to try to figure that out. It's just helpful to have a few people in a sample classroom so that here through my screen share, I'll be able to model what the settings and options will look like for your students. Those of you who are in the class, those of you who feel comfortable, I'm going to be depending on you to interact in a few things as they pop up. So please just be prepared for that. But those of you who are not in the classroom, it doesn't matter at all. It's just a good place for a test zone for us. So before we even dive in to the classroom homepage tabs, which is the main part we'll focus on in part 2, we really need to think about planning for pedagogically sound remote instruction. I think Karen used the phrase, this isn't business as usual, and it isn't. And so it's really important at this time to take a step back and revisit your values and beliefs as a teacher and as teams and schools and districts are working together to make a plan and come together on what is the most important at this time. When I'm making considerations like this, I consider number one is relationships in the community we serve. So the first thing I do is I think through how can I maintain relationships, and school community. How can I think through those we serve, everything from safety to communication, differentiation. The next thing I think of is curriculum and prioritizing and setting realistic goals and expectations. In some cases, in most cases, curriculum will slow down considerably. Depending on the population and age that you serve, your curriculum may shift completely. Some of my mentors, Sarah Ahmed and Smokey Daniels, say that kids hand us curriculum every day and the world hands us curriculum. So that may help some of you think about ways to integrate and honor kids' questions and inquiries about what's happening in the world in a way that helps them become informed and integrate that into your goals. And then finally, the tools and the tech are always last. The tools and the tech should always support access and goals for students. And so that's why we think first about relationships and community, then we think about the curriculum, then we find the tools to support that. Google Classroom is super flexible. It's a great home base to accomplish these goals, and I'm going to show you lots of different ways to use it as your home base. Just a quick note, a non-Google Classroom note, if you are a teacher or you work in a school where your younger students have been using Seesaw, which is a totally separate app. If your students have been using Seesaw for a time, I highly recommend that as your home base for kids if they are already used to that. That is also a tool that if kids are used to that, you can certainly take on this whole remote learning time through Seesaw. My daughter's class is doing it. I've seen lots of schools taking that tool. So just making that note in case you're a teacher of littles who are already using that. With that said, I'm going to jump over into Classroom, and we're going to just get a lay of the land here. So just so you know, at the end, I have lots of resource links for you. If you missed something, you forgot something, you need a more detailed tutorial, I have all the best resources and links that are going to help you review a lot of these things. So no fear, don't fear if you miss something. So here's Classroom. Classroom is a G Suite app. Some of you may find it via the waffle in the top right. You may find it located in your apps here. If you don't, all you have to do is type in classroom.google.com. Whenever you log into your account and you create a class, you'll see a little plus sign in the top right. You have two choices, join class or create class. You'll create a class and it walks you through the steps from there. When you walk through the steps to create your class, you get set up into a home screen. So I'm going to show you that. So this is what Classroom looks like for me. I've seen students and teachers with tons of little tiles like this for all the different classes they have that they may have joined or created. So each class will show up on this home screen as tiles. Noting that because if you teach multiple sections of a class, middle school and high school teachers out there or integrated arts specialists, you may create your own classes, might be something to consider when making decisions with your team. So within Google Classroom, we have 4 tabs. We have Stream, Classwork, People, and Grades. I'm going to blow through grades. We won't have time to talk about a lot of assessment today. It's something that you won't be probably dealing with for weeks to come anyway. I want you to know it's here, but we will mostly be focusing on Stream and Classwork today, just to give you a heads up on that. Your Stream is exactly what it sounds like. Right now, you can see everyone has freedom to post. And people are posting and introducing everyone here. And so you can see that if you allow your students to have free reign over posting and commenting, this is what it will look like. You likely don't want to do that to start. When you start with tools like this in the classroom, you want to scaffold it and model it and have gradual release of responsibility like you do any tool. Because of the situation, you may want to only allow students to comment on your posts, or you may just want to mute students altogether to get started. That is up to you. If it were me, I would think about knowing my students first, relationships, knowing the community I serve, and thinking about what's going to serve them best. I would probably allow them to, at first, be able to comment. So I just clicked on the gear in Google. You'll always see very familiar tools. So when I click on this gear, I get all of my details, the class details, my class code that I can reset or share. I can disable it. I can decide here in my stream what students can do. Students can post and comment. I have the stream and this sample class currently set up like that because you're all adults and I trust you. Or you can choose students can only comment. Students can only comment on the posts that you do. This is probably what I would recommend to start. Usually in classrooms, I recommend starting with only teachers can post or comment and then eventually releasing to students can comment. I think that because the human connection is going to be so important right now, that I would start with students can only comment and move from there. And then you can mute individual students, which I'll show you later if you run into problems. Grading I'm going to skip over for right now, but that is something that in the future you'll probably want to take a look at if that's of a concern to you. So again, I just got here from the gear. I was in my main stream in the top right. And this is very social media like. It's a stream. It's just a stream of real-time comments and as they pop up. When you see these 3 little dots in Google, they always mean more. And they always have a different menu. So for example, if someone has posted something that I don't want to be showing, I can click on delete. I can mute that person. I'm sorry, Christine, you get to be my model right now. I can mute that person right from here if I feel the need to do so. Everything comes from right here. If I want to comment on someone's post, I can say hello and click send. So this is very, social media-like kind of stream. I'm just going to skip over quickly to people. People tells you who has joined your class. When students are joining your class, you'll be sharing the code with them that comes up with the class. And again, you can find in that settings tab. If you have younger students and you really just want to add them all in by yourself, you can do that. You can click on the person icon. You can invite everyone in your G Suite domain. If you start typing in students' names, they're going to pop up and you can just quickly click on them. This is where you'll see individually everybody who is in there, and you can individually click there. If you're using email for your students, you can contact them here. This checkbox here selects all the students. Actions allows you to email, remove, mute. You can do that individually. So lots of options to manage your class. And again, I just got there from the People tab. In Classroom, everything kind of runs from up here, these tabs. I'm going to click over to Classwork and just give you the lay of the land for that. This is going to be something that you will definitely want to decide the best way to organize, and this will be the go-to for your students. So I'm just going to click over quickly to a completed sort of a developed classwork page so that you can see what it might look like. So here's a classwork page on another course that I taught, and you can see how I have things organized in this Classwork tab. I have things organized by topic, and then supporting materials and assignments. Okay, and again, you can see all these little 3-dot menu items popping up. You'll want to explore those as you go. For this particular course, when I create in the classwork, I always start with topic if I'm creating a collection. So you can create assignments, quizzes, questions for the community, add a material link, those kinds of things. But if you're someone that's looking at planning long-term units for your students, which I imagine many of you are, this is where you will build that information. And then you will direct students to the Classwork tab to be able to work through everything. The nice thing about this is everything's organized for them. They can move through at their own pace. Things are organized along here by topic, just as you set them up here. It takes a little bit getting used to just to think about the hierarchy because it's topic and then underneath are all the related assignments and materials, but you can totally do it. Start small, start with one topic or one unit at a time, and you will be just fine. So here within the Classwork tab, this is where I'm going to create a new one just to show you what that looks like. And then I saw a couple of questions on our first section, so I'm just going to jump over to those. So here I am back in our classroom. I'm going to click Create. Now, you might think, oh, I'm going to create an assignment right away. I want to ask my students how they're doing. I'm just going to encourage you to think in terms of organizing things first by topic. So let's say you want to call it week 1, or maybe you want to call it getting acquainted, or whatever it is that's going to be your first collection of activities for students. So I'm calling this topic week 1, and I just choose add. So here I am. Notice it's bigger because this is the overarching topic. It shows up here on the left. So I can easily toggle between my topics, all topics. Okay, so here I am, week 1. Now I'm going to click Create. This is where I'm going to start by creating an assignment, a quiz assignment, which will integrate a Google form. We will look at that in a moment. Asking simply a question. Sometimes it's great to have a reflection question for students, material, and reuse post. Reuse post is great if you're teaching multiple classes. When you click on that, it's going to bring up any other classes that you have set up in this account, and you'll be able to click and choose any other questions you already used in another class so that you don't have to redo your work. Additionally, when you do create an assignment, if you have multiple classes that you're going to be assigning it to, you have that option. So take a look here. I just clicked on assignment. I'll back out again in case you missed that. So here I am. I'm going to create an assignment to go in week 1. I can click on create assignment. I can give it a title. And then over here on the right where it says 4, when I click drop down, I can assign it to multiple classes at a time. Will save you a lot of work, but super bonus, so keeping community and relationships in mind, you can also differentiate and create assignments for specific students. So I could unclick and I could just select the 4 students in my small group. Thinking any special educators who are working with small groups, Title I, English language support for our emerging bilinguals. That is a great differentiator when you're assigning anything, posts, quizzes, anything like that. You can decide who will get that assignment. Points, you can decide on points, or you can call it ungraded. My recommendation would be start small. Adding the stress of grades might be a little much in this first week or so. So my recommendation would be to start and go from there. You can choose a due date, and then here's really important, you want to choose your topic. So I already created my week 1 topic, so I'm going to select that here. And I can add my instructions. I can add my instructions for the assignment, and then I can add a link. I can add a file that's on my computer. I can add YouTube link for a video. I can add something from my drive. Still a lot I want to learn, but I'm just going to pop to the stream. Okay, can everybody hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Wonderful. All right, so hopefully that works for many of you that are struggling with sound. It already seems to be better as I look at the stream here. Okay, so I'm going to head back into Classwork over here. If it was cutting out when we were just talking, I was helping people understand that organizing by topics, and then remembering when you create individual assignments or quizzes, questions, when you add resource materials as you go, to be sure to choose the topic so it will show up right underneath for people here. So these will show up in the stream unless you tell it, you tell the settings that you only want people to access classwork through the Classwork tab. So I actually highly recommend this. So I clicked on the settings gear in the top right. I'm going to go down here to General, and I want you to look right here at Classwork on the stream. This drop down will show, do I want all the details of every assignment, topic, everything I post to show up in the stream? Do I want it to just be a quick notification, just a quick note that people can expand on that stream, or do I want to hide it? So I personally would choose hide, because that keeps the stream conversation separate from the classwork. It alleviates confusion for students and families and caregivers, as well as yourself. So hide notifications is a good way to go, and click save, so that when you're back in your stream, the only thing that is showing up on the screen are the things that, lots of people still having audio issues. Okay, I'm just going to keep going and we'll see how it goes here. So I think that besides knowing that the stream is going to be the conversation, cueing students to separately click on the Classwork tab will really alleviate their stress and confusion, so they can clearly see and click on everything that you're asking for them to do. So I'm going to look more closely now at what it looks like to integrate the other apps and extensions for Classwork. So when I go back here into the stream and I think about posting, you'll get the same options here in the stream as you will when you organize things in Classwork. So that's really helpful for you when you're trying to get to know this new tool. So something to understand is this add button. So a lot of you have asked about adding videos, adding links to resources, adding links to external sites, that kind of thing. This is where you will do that. When you click on add, it will walk you through the types of things that you can link. So Google Drive, this will be anything that is coming from your Google Drive. So for example, if you want students to write an ongoing reflection of their experience in something, you might create that document and we can add it here. So let's say that's part of this assignment. I'm going to click on Google Drive and I'm going to find the file that I titled Reflection 1, and I'm going to click on that here. Now, when I click on add, I have lots of different options here. So you have to think through what you want to do. Add a link. Now I know things in Drive are also links, but this is more referring to an external link. So if there was a news article, there was you're adding a link to another tool that your class already uses, such as a Padlet, which is like a digital sticky board. Maybe you're adding a link to a video, or I'm thinking of art and music teachers. If you're adding links to external museums, websites, things like that, that's where you will add that here. And you can keep adding as much as you want. So you can add multiple resources to one assignment, so students have everything they need all in one place. If you have a file downloaded to your computer, you can do that here. This one will be least common in this scenario, and YouTube links. Those of you looking to add in video, I'm going to talk about the two ways to do that now, because I know that that is going to be one of the most important tools that we're using for remote learning. So to add video in Google Classroom, you need to create your video and save it to Google Drive, or add it to YouTube and link from there. Now, for many of you, that might sound really foreign. So I'm going to give you what I think is the easiest workaround. What I'm going to do is give you what I would do if I was working with someone who hasn't done a lot of this before. So the tool I'm going to recommend to you is an extension called Screencastify. So if you look up here in the top right of my screen, do you see this little orange arrow? Screencastify is an extension that allows you to screencast, which is taking video of your screen and allows you to have your face in a box. It'll show up here in the bottom corner. You can move it around. And I'm recommending that because the tool Screencastify allows you to create a video while also capturing your screen. And then it gives you the option to save to Google Drive, and it gives you a YouTube link right there. That way you don't have to worry about juggling all the different tools. You can just use that one tool. So for example, if you're looking to make a, let's see, I'm going to go to a new document here. I'm just going to model this for you of how to use it. Let's say you decide you want to make a document with a daily agenda and screencast it for your students. You could also do this with slides. You could make slides for students with each day's agenda and screencast yourself talking through it. I think this is going to be the fastest way for people to do that. So I created a new document. You could also create a new slideshow using Google Slides. And once you have your document up here and you're ready to screencast, and you've added Screencastify into Chrome, when you click on it in the top here, it's going to ask you what you want to record. Do you want to use your microphone? Do you want to embed webcam? I'm going to say yes to all of these things so that students can see me and they can see my screen. So I'll just do a tester here. Okay, so as you can see, I'm recording, and I'm recording right now, and my face is showing up here in the bottom, and students will be able to see anything I already have typed or anything I'm typing as I go. Screencasting is going to be the way to go to get students to understand how to use Classroom, different sites, that kind of thing. So now I'm going to stop my screen share and my Screencastify. Now watch what
somebody's asked.
Mike, we can't hear you.
So here's my screencast, and it's showing me right now, this whole thing right here is just showing me the video that I just made. Really easy controls here. I can share right to Classroom. When I click on it, it pops up my Classroom in a separate window. I can choose the class. I can even choose that I'm creating an assignment with it and go, and it will take me there. Or I can do publish to YouTube. You're going to have to default to all of your school's policies and privacy settings and all of those things for video. So definitely something to connect with your tech directors on as you make these plans. And when you get this, I get my shareable link. It's saving it right to Drive, and it made a folder. So in your Drive, there is going to be a folder called Screencastify, and it will store all of your videos, your screencasts as you make them. Or if you prefer, you can grab the YouTube link. Whenever you get that link, that is what you will post. Link. And I'm in my classroom. And I can add the link right here to my video. So it shows right here that I was making this video. I can also click Add from Drive. And in my Drive, if I click on Recent, here's the video, the screencast that I just made. I click it and I click Add. So that's already attached because I did it by a link. So it's set to go. When you're thinking through adding assignments, you want to make sure you put everything there that students need. I did see a question earlier. Someone asked if you could attach instructions and people could, students could upload their own work to the assignment. They absolutely can do that. And so with that, I'm going to click back over to the stream. so I can show you some of those options. So let's do one. Yeah, so someone said Screencastify only allows you to record up to 5 minutes. That is true. You will find that keeping things short, sweet, and succinct for students, 5 minutes will be enough time. Any longer, students, learners of all ages, really stop listening anyway. So it really helps you keep things short and succinct. When you are including documents, slides, drawings, any of those kinds of things in your assignment. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Several folks have said that they don't see Screencastify in their options. Is that something they have to add?
Sure, yeah, let's take a look at that. So Screencastify is a Chrome extension. So you go to the Chrome Web Store. I still don't understand why they call it a store, because everything is. So when we go to the Chrome Web Store, you may have to talk to your, that's not what we want. You may have to talk to your IT or tech support to allow yourself to add these to Chrome, and they can push it out to all of you. So within the domain, they have the ability to do that. When you are in this web store, I'm going to go back to an extension here. I'm just going to search Screencastify. And when I search Screencastify, I can hear, so right, this says add to Chrome for a different one, but because I already have it, it says rate it. You'll click add to Chrome. It'll pop up a window, and then you'll be able to add it. If you get an error message, it's because your school domain will need to allow it, and someone will need to allow that for you or to push it out to all of you. It is a very commonly used tool in schools. It's used everywhere. It's a highly versatile tool. It is by far the most user-friendly and flexible tool when you're thinking in terms of adding screencasts to show students how to navigate something, giving instructions on an assignment, that kind of thing. If you add a document, you're going to see a number of options, and you have to give yourself a chance to think through this. So when I'm in here adding documents, whoops, click out of there and share with my class, you want to think in terms of what you want students to be able to do with it. So I'm going to start a fresh assignment so that I can clearly show you what this looks like. I'm going to discard this. Okay, new assignment. Here we go. So here are my instructions. Again, making sure you select who it's for, differentiating if you need to, make sure you pick the topic. Here we go. So when I click add and I choose a document, I need to decide, do I want people to just see it? Do I want them to have their own copy? Or do I want them to all collaborate on one document? So you have to really think about what you want students to be able to do. So I just added this document on here. So this is very important. Take a look here at our drop-down. Here are my options. Students can view file, students can edit file, make a copy for each. Here are some scenarios for you. If you are adding a file that's just instructions for an assignment or anything else that students just need to be able to view, they don't need their very own copy for editing, you will choose this. If you want all students to be editing that same file, you'll choose this. This is not as common. Think about too many cooks in the kitchen. That's definitely something to consider. If you're working with a small group, you could certainly have students collaborate on one document. A common thing to do here is one slideshow. Here is my recommendation for adding a slideshow that many people will be working on. Give students digital real estate. So what I mean by that is if you attach a slideshow and your directions are for students to each create their own slide, label the slides with their name. If we get a chance at the end, I can model how to do that. I just want to make sure that I move through all of our goals for today. Or if it's a template, every student is going to be working on the draft for their argumentative essay, or every student is going to be keeping their own ongoing reflection of explaining their thinking for mathematical modeling, or every student is going to be keeping a digital writer's notebook. You'll want to choose make a copy for each student. The bonus of doing it this way is you will also be able to see everyone's work at once. So again, decide what you want students to do with it. Just view it, edit it, or get their own copy. Once you add things, you can add a variety of things in there for your assignment and it will show up. Notice I didn't put a topic on this, so it did not show up in week 1. So you just kind of want to make sure that you do that. I'm going to go right now to an assignment I posted earlier. So earlier I posted as an example this reflection. I'm going to click on View Assignment. Thank you, Tom and Donna Wendell, for doing the assignment. Here's the bonus when students are doing work that is common. So they're all going to be doing argumentative essay. They're all going to be sharing mathematical models using Google Drawings or Google Slides, or they're all going to include something. You'll be able to click on everybody's work right in here. And so right now this is super overwhelming because there are hundreds of you in here. For you, you'll have one class at a time, and this is going to keep it from having a Google Drive shared with me folder that is just full of kids sharing documents with you. That will be confusing for them, confusing for you. So creating an assignment is the way to go. So I can see, I can sort by who completed it. I can sort by last name, first name. So Tom and Donna, I hope it's okay if I just quickly click on this to show. So right now, Tom or Donna, they did the assignment. They turned it in. I'm going to click on it, and it brings up their doc, their copy that they got and edited. And it's going to walk you through, if this is new for you, everything that you do. So here, notice it looks just like docs, but you have this kind of like assessment frame. This is a way you're going to really be able to integrate your comments to students, this back and forth feedback loop as students are working. So thank you for sharing that, Tom or Donna. And then here's where I can give a grade if I want. I can give private comments just to that student about this assignment. Up here is I can return it. I can move to the next student by clicking through these arrows. And again, I know this is a lot and new for so many of you, so take it small, take it slow, pick one thing at a time. Some of you may start by just posting and then posting assignments and getting accustomed to it from there. Give yourself the time to click around and get used to the options that you have if you're using assignments. This is a really helpful way for you to be able to interact with students individually as they're working through assignments. Okay, I'm going to pause to see if you have any, see if there are any questions in the box or in the stream before we take a look at some of the other things that we might integrate based on your content area or grade. I'm going to go back to the stream. Okay. Yes, okay. So Chris and Missy are asking if you already have assignments and topics and you want to reorganize, are you able to do that? Absolutely. So if I go into Classwork and I have everything organized here, I click on my 3 dots, I can move it up or move it down. I can reorganize just like that. So 3 dots. If you're ever looking for what to do, the 3-dot menu will likely get you there. It's different on every screen, so just give yourself time to click it and see what your options are. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, Sally, this is recorded to access later. Kristen notes that her school district received training on Screencastify. Absolutely, there is great training from Screencastify that you can use it. Yes, people are looking for Yep. Okay. So lots of other people have already used Screencastify. It is going to be a fantastic go-to tool for you. Just going to look in the questions tab and see if we have anything over there. Okay. I don't see anything, but Karen or Mike, let me know if you see anything that's popped up for you.
Jaclyn, just
Yes.
a quick one. Somebody asked, students print documents that are assigned in classroom?
Can you say that again, Karen?
Can students print documents that are assigned in Google Classroom?
Yes, students can print documents that are assigned. So if you have created an assignment here, and let's say that this that I attached right here isn't something students are going to be editing, but it's a graphic organizer, it's instructions, it's a visual support. They can click on that and print just as they would. And in all of the apps, you can choose print from your file, print. Slides, drawings, all of those, we'll do it from there. Let's take a look at the option. Yep.
Keep going. We can't all of the questions. And then did you want one more? Do you want to keep going?
If you had one, it sounded like you started, but you cut out, so I wasn't quite sure. But if you do have one, go ahead.
Somebody wants to know if he added. That's okay, Jaclyn, keep going. I'm having audio issues.
Okay. I'm going to keep going. Someone said if my computer doesn't support Chrome, is there something you can use other than Screencastify? The best option I would say for that is if you can record video on a device like your phone, or if you have a tablet, do that and record the video that way, save it to Drive or upload it to YouTube to get the link. That would probably be the way to go. That would be my recommendation. Nicole's asking, can you turn on comments only for specific assignments and post in the stream? No, the blanket is either you're allowing all students to post and comment, or you're just allowing them to comment. So your best bet there, Nicole, would be to just turn it on for, turn commenting on, not posting for students. Craig says you can also edit assignments. You absolutely can. How can you move an assignment from one class to another, says Kathy. This is a great question. So I am going to click over into here to model this. So if I'm creating an assignment, and I already know I'm going to assign it to multiple classes, all I have to do is check these. However, if I did not do that in the first place, then you can reuse. So here I am. Whoops, let me go back, cancel. Do you see this icon right here? If I hover, it says to reuse post. If I hover on this, it's going to find anything that I posted in other classrooms, and it's going to bring up other posts, assignments, going to bring up everything. Do I want to create new copies of all attachments? Yes. You're going to be able to select it from there. So in answer to that question, reuse post is going to be the way to go. Gloria's asking, if I comment on students' assignments, do I need to return the assignment for students to see what I have written? You do. So when students turn something in, it actually takes away their editing rights. So it sort of turns the editing rights off for them and on for you to add comments. When you click return, everything is provided back to them. Take a quick scroll through. Kat is asking, is there a way to hide other people and students' names in the Google Classroom? There isn't, but definitely thinking in terms of student privacy and safety, Kat, the way that I would address that is creating separate groups, separate classes for each group that I want to keep together and keep separate. So especially thinking in terms of student privacy and special education, you may even, some of you, create a group just for one student if that is the best case scenario for your work with that student. Absolutely can do that. But please remember that if you are a special education case manager or English language support, Title I, something like that, you could have all of your students in one class and differentiate your posts. Remember that you can check individual boxes, so only certain students will be able to see those posts. As support staff, how would you recommend to use this? Do teachers need to do some changes? So as support staff, you'll want to collaborate with teachers to find out what their goals for you and expectations are for you. They might add you as a co-teacher in the classroom. So to do that, it's the People tab. Teachers, you'll click the plus, you'll start typing in the teacher's name in your G Suite domain, their address will pop up and you can invite them as a co-teacher. That way they can see and interact with all of the things that you are already doing. Right, I'm heading back to the stream. Is asking, I love that you can create specific assignments for specific kids. Yes, very good for differentiation and student privacy. Is it possible for multiple teachers to collaborate remotely on one Google Classroom? Yes, Mark, you'll go to the People tab and you'll add a co-teacher to your class. Oh, you say answered. Sorry, should have seen that first. Emily, great question. If you want to post announcements, do you still use assignments? You do not have to do that. So this right here is the reason why I would go to your class settings, choose that only the teacher can post and that students can only comment. That will keep your stream clean and clear. So all the posts are from teachers only, comments are just from students. Gloria is asking, if I return student work, can they submit it again with edits? Absolutely. And that's the best part about Google Classroom is it keeps feedback going as a loop versus, feedback happens at grading and then it's over. It's the best way to sort of keep that back and forth going for students as they create work. Okay. Great. You guys are asking amazing questions. This is really, really wonderful. Let me take a look. So let me jump over right now to show you.
Jaclyn, can I, while you're doing
Karen?
that too? Nope, it's Mike. While you're doing that,
Okay.
I just want to mention too, I know there are a whole lot of questions that people have asked in the GoToWebinar control panel. And so later or at some point, Jaclyn, maybe you can take a look at those. But if for folks, we will likely won't get to all of them, but we will take them afterwards and put them into a Q&A document and post them on the website. And you'll be getting a link to where those are located after the webinar is completed.
Yes. That's great. Thank you, Mike, for sharing that. And I know this is overwhelming. For some of you who have been using Classroom, you're really just learning the ways to use this day to day. If you are brand new to this, please take it one step at a time. Remember that many students and families are in the same boat that you are. So keeping it simple to start, doing one thing at a time, just like at the beginning, keeping your goals clear and keeping relationships first is really going to be the perfect place to start. You don't have to start at 100 miles an hour. Just start a little bit at a time, and we can grow over the weeks. If you're someone that's using some other tools, something like Flipgrid, Newsela, or Newsela, some people call it, Edpuzzle, if you're using other tools like that, Google Classroom can be your home base to link out to those. Remember that Google Classroom beautifully integrates all of the apps like Forms and Docs and Slides right within G Suite. But for some of you, you may rely on other tools. And so Google Classroom might just be the home base where you post a link to a Padlet, which is a digital sticky board, to a Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a great tool, video-based for you to post video assignments for students or video reflections, and students can reply with video. One of the resources that I want to share with you, and you'll have it in your document, we'll make sure you all get this agenda document, is this right here. Some author friends of mine, Kristen Zimke and Katie Mutaris, they're creating ongoing distance learning support site with all kinds of ideas and external links like that, along with considerations for social emotional health and things beyond just integrating the technology. You're going to be inundated with resources at a time like this and new tools. You can wipe it all out and just focus on the things that they are updating day to day, because they root everything they're doing in children and students and pedagogy. So it'll be a great place to go if you've never heard of some of these other tools. I know it's 11:01, but I'm going to keep going for a few minutes because there's a couple things that I can show you that I think might help. And I want to address some questions too that we had at the beginning before we began. So I'm going to head back into the classroom for a moment. I did have a question about, take a look where this one was. Oh, somebody had emailed or posted earlier, I can't remember, about, worrying about giving students lots of links and worrying about students getting onto all different places on the internet. So I am going to recommend to you that you solve that problem by curation. Let me just slide this over here to show you. So Padlet, and again, you'll always need to check with your school tech policies to make sure that you are using the links that your district has decided are the best and acceptable to use. I don't recommend anything that that isn't commonly used in education. So a Padlet, I'm just going to take a click here. A Padlet's a digital sticky board. So this is one actually my daughter made. So Padlet is something you can use from kindergarten to through high school. It's a great way to curate. You can include video. You can include videos that you've made of yourself. You can type sticky notes. Students can. Padlet is a great way for you to curate. You can share the link. If you've made a Padlet that has resources for students, you can share it. And again, the gear will tell you, can students edit? What can they do? Give yourself time. I know this is overwhelming. Give yourself time to look at the different settings. You can always find lots of how-tos on using Padlet to curate resources. And then that way students aren't running all over the internet. Students are working directly from the articles or videos or information that you have curated for them. It's a great use of that tool. Some of you, oh, here's another one. Some of you asked about interactive or manipulatives for students. So one resource I'm going to point you to down here in my resource list, Alice Keeler has a lot of templates for math manipulatives that she has created in Google Drawings. She also, Christine Pinto, she does GAFE for Littles, which is G Suite for young ones. She's amazing. So that link is here to really help you think through if you have littles, K to 2, even 3 in some ways. Using that, it helps you think through how this might work for them. But Alice Keeler and Christine Pinto both have lots of templates for manipulatives. I've also saw a few people in the stream note that they were high school math teachers and that teaching math online can be tricky. You are really going to benefit if students have access to it, to the mobile classroom app. Students can handwrite work, take pictures of it, and upload it. I highly recommend that. There is, if you are a math teacher looking to create a variety of things using mathematical symbols, you might go back to the Chrome Web Store and you might consider something called Equatio. Equatio is, it is not completely free. You can only use it in certain places. If it's something you're going to use a lot, you might ask your district if they can support you with purchasing it. It allows you to handwrite or speak math equations with all of the symbols. You can put them in Google Forms if you're making quizzes. You can put them in slides and in docs. It is a brilliant tool. Math teachers, that is going to be the tool for you. Looking at my list, the one last thing I wanted to make sure that I touched on is that thinking in terms of once you make your choices about the kinds of experiences you want to begin with, if you forget how to do anything, you don't need to just go to Google and type things in, and you'll get a million links of how to do things. So give yourself the time to just stick to these to start, because these are ones that I have curated that are the clearest. They're created by the Google community or people deep in the Google community. So you know they're going to be up to date, they're going to be clear, video tutorials, step-by-step tutorials. Once you make your decisions on what you want to create, that's going to be where you go back and say, okay, where do I start? How am I going to do this step by step? This one I hadn't mentioned yet, HyperDocs. This will lead you to a fantastic site. HyperDocs are essentially, for time's sake, they are basically docs or a set of slides that are interactive. So someone asked about that earlier. That you can create an entire learning experience for students, from the building background knowledge to modeling to student activities, reflection. You can build it all in a doc, and all of the clicking is from there. So you could, I'm going to open it so you can see one example. There we go. There's a lot here, so I'll just take a quick look. So here you can find templates. Really, it's you filling in what students are going to do. There's a how-to here. It's a good way to create a full clickable document or slides that students will move through a learning experience. You could include that in an assignment as a view only, and then students could work through activities there. That is something that may be useful for many of you. But going back to the beginning, just to kind of regroup here and look for some questions to wrap this up for now, remember to plan this first. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to continue all of the instruction right away. Start one piece at a time. Choose one thing to do. It might be starting with sharing video to students. Maybe students aren't even starting with digital work. You're asking them to do things and come back and comment on how it's going, just to slowly get the ball rolling. I think I'm going to look back in the stream for some final questions for now. I don't see any in the stream. Mike and Karen, do you have any that have popped up yet since we last checked?
One that I do want to ask, somebody said that they are an art teacher with 28 different classes, and they're trying to figure out the best way to structure. Can they put all their students in one classroom, or do you have recommendations?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I'm going to answer that for art, but I also want to put out there that if you are someone in, with lots of different groups of students, regardless of content, thinking through the organization very clearly is going to help you from the beginning. So you could put all of your students in one classroom, and then you could differentiate from there by checking on the student boxes. If you have 28 classes, the thought of creating 28 different Google Classrooms might be overwhelming. If you're planning on providing the same kind of instruction to all the classes, you're going to be posting artwork, video, processes, those kinds of things that people are going to try or students are going to try. You could put them all in one class. In your G Suite domain, you can fit 1,000 people in one class. So you could do that. So going back to your goals, thinking, okay, create a class based on generally the instruction that you're going to provide. And if it's common, I would put them in one class. If things are significantly different, you're going to be doing a lot of check boxes of who gets what, where, when, and why, and that might be confusing for you. So you may want to create separate groups, maybe by grade level or by district or something like that. So I hope that answers that question for you.
Thank you, Jaclyn. Let me ask you one question. Somebody asked if there's a way for them to see what the children will see in Google Classroom.
Yeah, great question. So it looks pretty much the same. So what is different are the controls. So for example, let me go over to Classwork. Students will see in their Classwork stream, actually, let me jump over to this other one. Here we go. So when students click on Classwork, they will see this just as you do. It looks exactly the same. When they click on an assignment, they will see it all here. They will not see this. All they will see is if they turn it in themselves or not. When they see this, this is giving sort of a view of the assignment or a resource in the screen. If they click on View Assignment, it takes it to the whole screen. For the teacher, I see everything. For the student, all they see is their assignment, whether they've turned it in or not, and if they've received any points for it. So students can see, you see just about the same thing. It looks, the layout is the same, the options are the same, except students don't have access to the settings and to other students' work. Oh, this is an important one. Many people have asked this. What is the easiest way to include video conferencing? So with your G Suite for Education, if your domain admin has it turned on, you have access to Google Meet. Meet is Google Hangouts. Essentially, Google Hangouts has changed. It used to be called it's changed a lot of names. It is currently called Meet, and I will show you what that looks like. Here we go. So it is meet.google.com, or in your tab with your little waffle grid in the top right, you will likely find Meet in there as well. So Meet, if you do join or start a meeting, it's simple. You click it, meeting 1, Spanish, doesn't want me to use a colon, click continue. I'm starting my video meeting. If I want people to join, I can click on Join Now, and I can post this information right in Google Classroom, remembering that Google Classroom can be your home base for everything. You might be sending kids to different tabs, but it will be very helpful for them to just have that one home base. You can copy that. You can click and add people if you know you're just going to add a few. You can add people within your domain. So this would be what you would do. You could put it in an assignment if you wanted to, so that students could easily find it in their Classwork tab. I'm just going to end this meeting. Zoom, if you are really familiar with Zoom and you don't want to try a new tool, even though Meet is super easy, it's just 2 clicks to start. Zoom has made their service free during this time to K-12. So you can check that out as well if you want to host video meetings with your students. Due to student privacy, you're not going to want to record group meetings and send them out. And again, just like with all things video and student privacy, just sort of think through your school's policy. Lisa's asking, once the class is over, how do you delete or remove the class? So you archive. We archive classes. I'm going to go back here to my classes, my main screen here. So remember, all the classes you create will have tiles. Students do the same thing. Every class they've joined will show up here. So here's this class. See the 3 little dots? Kind of hard to see here. 3 little dots always tell you more. When I click on this, I archive it. It goes away. I can move it. I want to edit this class. I want to copy the whole class over. That is what you'll do for them. Notice these other pieces of information here. This will lead me to the folder. Every class gets their own folder in the drive for you. And every time you create an assignment, it creates a folder with the assignment. Everything is super organized and streamlined for you right there. How many co-teachers can you add, Lisa? I have not come across a limit. So I would say you are good to go with as many co-teachers you can add. Yes, Kat, we will send that out with a follow-up. The Google Classroom is virtual learning tool document that I keep referring to. We will make sure all of you get that. Absolutely. Anne is asking, video chat, good. Lisa says Google Meet, can you link to Zoom? Absolutely, Liz, you can link to Zoom. Catherine's asking, I've had parents mention that the amount of emailed notices of new assignments is overwhelming for their child. Is there a way to stop email notification for the students? Yes. Yes, Kristen answered. I love the education community. Everybody jumps in and helps each other. They can go in and turn off notifications. Good, people are asking. Oh, I love how you're all answering for each other. This is brilliant. What a great community you are. One thing I just scrolled over that I was curious about. So you're going to get a ton of email notifications if you're using Google Classroom. What I recommend is creating a rule in your inbox that moves them all to their own separate section. I don't have time to really go into that in super detail right now, but when you see that you have a notification from Google Classroom, if you click on it in your email, click your three dots, it's always the three dots, choose filter messages like these. You can create this. Here's that's the no reply from Classroom. Click create filter. You could say, you could move it wherever you want. You could not get them at all. You could have them just skip the inbox. You could star it. You could just delete them and just get the notifications from inside. So if that's overwhelming to you, it's something that you can filter out. Sally's asking, how will this be available? Yes, Demonstrated Success will email you the recording, and we'll include links to more Q&A as well as the document I've been referring to. So that's a lot of information. It's about 20 after 11, and I'm sure your brains are full. I really tried to answer and get as wide of a breadth of information as possible. So again, give yourself a chance to decide on your goals, decide what's best and safest for your community, and slowly find the tools to support that piece by piece.
So,
Mike, is there anything?
Yep. Sorry, thank you. I was
ahead.
a little delayed there. No, thank you. So, Jaclyn, thank you so much for presenting. This was absolutely fantastic. We've gotten a lot of chat comments, questions saying how great this was and how much people appreciate it. At this point, I'm going to show my screen real quick. We just got a couple of last slides and we'll sign off for this webinar. In terms of what's next, you should receive about 2 hours after the webinar, you should receive an email with some links. There'll be 3 primary links in the email you get. One will bring you to some future webinars, and it's going to be a link to this page, or page that'll get you to this page. And we're going to be doing a variety of webinars coming up over the next week. We're going to be doing one starting on Monday. We're doing one helping you provide some family-friendly resources for parents. We're going to be doing one on 6 simple strategies to help your students succeed for remote learning in middle and high school. We're going to do a series of webinars focused on different grade levels. So grades 3 and 4, we'll be doing one in grades 1 and 2, grades 5 and 6. So this will be focused on helping create a community for folks. We'll take a look at some teachers giving some samples of what they're doing for virtual learning at those different grade levels. We'll be doing one for taking care of yourself. So on Tuesday, there'll be a psychologist who'll be joining us just to giving you some pointers on how to take care of yourself in these challenging times, because we know there's so much stress with what's happening right now. So anyway, you'll get that link. There'll be a link to a page for webinars, recordings. We have a YouTube channel that has webinars that we've done in the past that are things that have been valuable when you're in school. We'll create a new channel here, and so I hope to have this, we'll have this done in the next 2 hours. If not, it will certainly be done today, and there'll be a channel here for all the virtual webinars that we're doing. And so this webinar today will be posted here. And then finally, we've got a public Google Drive that we'll be using to store the information from the webinars. So you'll get a link to this page as well. And we'll have the PowerPoint that we presented. And I know, Jaclyn, there were some requests to be able to get a printable copy of your 5-part agenda. So hopefully we can post that here as well. So you should be getting that. Thanks, Jaclyn. You should be getting that soon. It'll have a link to this PowerPoint. This has our contact information as well, so reach out to us. Again, we had no idea what to expect with this webinar. We ended up having over 1,000 people register for this, so clearly there's a need, and clearly we're going to try to help as much as we can. The questions were fantastic. And then there's some additional slides. The webinar recording is better than anything, but there's some slides here that might remind you about the different components of the Google Classroom. So with that, once again, I'll mention that there are a lot of questions I know we didn't answer. We'll get those up hopefully in a Q&A document. And I can't thank you enough, Jaclyn, and I'm sure the teachers on the call can't thank you enough. So thank you for all your expertise. And Karen, thank you for putting this together.
You're welcome. And I have copied all of the questions that came in through the through GoToMeeting. So we have all of your unanswered questions copied down, and we will make sure to do our level best to answer them and post it to that site.
Jaclyn, any final comments for today's webinar?
No, yeah, just a reminder to everyone, take a deep breath, one thing at a time. And I would highly recommend attending their self-care webinar. You're gonna need it. So please take care of yourselves. You got this.
Thanks, Jaclyn.
I did want to say, I wanted to add that next week, and you'll get this schedule, everyone, Jaclyn is actually doing another webinar with us around virtual assessment, virtual local assessment. So I think that would be a great one to tune into as well. Yep, and that's really it. I hope that you're all hanging in there and looking for the silver lining right now.
All right, so with that, I'll give a final plug for the Department of Education. Thank them for sponsoring this, and everyone have a good rest of the day. Take care.